Okay, fun interview today, you guys. I met my twin flame coach from Dubai, and I've been a super fan of Bex or Rebecca Farrell since I don't know. It's probably been 2 years now. I found her on YouTube. She has an amazing YouTube channel. Anyhow, she is a figure competitor and she has been working hard to get her pro card. Her husband is Darren Farrell. He is an IFBB pro actual Olympian. And the two of them are incredible humans. You have to go follow them. But today, Bex and I talked a lot about coaching athletes and competitors, expectations, things that most women aren't really ready for when it comes to competing and things that they don't anticipate are going to happen. We talked about relationships with food and competing. We also talked about the process in getting women to stage, the intricacies that are bodybuilding, and essentially just everything in between. So enjoy this episode. If you loved this, please let me know over on Instagram. Y'all know we are besties over there. Okay. Come tell me, because I think we should have Bex on again, and we would love a topic to riff on so we can collab. So enjoy the episode. Boss bitch. I have been loving your journey because I resonate a lot with your process, right? Like I've watched your YouTubes, I binge watched them my last prep in cardio.
Yeah.
I'm sure you hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's why I try and make them longer. When people say to me, we don't want 20 minutes ones, we want 45. I'm like, okay, I'll do them.
Yeah, because when you're deep in prep, you've got lots and lots of cardio. But you're a foodie. And
yep.
I love watching, I'm sure you hear this all the time. I love watching your foodie videos, but I saw, the whole journey of your last prep and like trying to get your pro card. And I'm like, I know. And so I'm like, we're in it with you, Bex.
So many people are. And you know what's different about this prep? I think last year I was like, right, I'm going for it. I'm not going to stop until I get it.
Yeah.
And it meant I was for like 38 weeks. And my body was like, it was like, no, Bex, you need to stop. And that last show I didn't even place. And that was where it was like, you should have stopped. I shouldn't have gone again then to Florida.
Yeah.
But I've been going after my pro card for so long now. And I was just thinking before I came on the call, I was like, how many times have I come second to my pro card? I was like, 7 times.
Wow.
7 times. And it's one of those ones where like he's my husband and he's been my coach this whole time, apart from this prep. Obviously we made that decision to do things a little bit differently. But I'm like, you're my husband. Of course you're going to tell me I'm close and that I'm in touch and distance. But it's when other people say to me, or other coaches that were at the shows, and they were like, you should have had it. Or, it was really close. Or the judge says to you, could have gone either way. I'm like, why didn't it go my way?
Yeah, right. Can you repeat how long you were in prep?
38 weeks.
38 weeks. Yes. So
it kept going. That year of 2021, people must, if anyone listening hasn't watched that series, just go back. Like I vlogged every single week. And then during one of the peak weeks, I vlogged every day. It was like 10 days out, 9 days out. And I just kept vlogging and vlogging. And no wonder my husband never saw me. I was in the office constantly like editing. And I think for me, when I'm on prep, because I'm laser focused with business anyway. I run 2 businesses and I have multiple platforms, a bit like yourself. But I think when I'm on prep, I'm so laser focused, it just transpires into work. And to this day, when people say, how did you build your business? I'm like, I learned how to bodybuild and learned how to prep. And that teaches you everything you need to know about building, because there's literally no days off. Everything has to be meticulous. You have to show up your business 24/7. You cannot take a day off Instagram. Like you have to keep going. And if you can survive a prep and push your body through a prep, 100%, all those skills are transferable to business.
For sure.
So when I'm in prep, it's like I just go laser focus. And I get really excited because when you're on prep, like it's monotonous. Bodybuilding is a monotonous sport. You do the same shit day in, day out. It's like rinse and repeat, and you just get it all done. You have those wins along the way where your lifts increase or you drop weight or you see your physique change. Great. But over the long period of a prep, which most people do, like most women, it's like 16 to 24 weeks is the normal kind of prep. you have to have something else to focus on to kind of, otherwise you become, what's the word? You become so obsessed with your prep, it just gets a bit unhealthy.
Yeah.
So you have to, so for me, it's all those other pockets of the day. I'm like, right, what else can I do? Oh, I want to try and do this, or I'm going to create this reel for Instagram, or I'm going to, and so for me, business and prep go hand in hand, I think.
I 1,000% agree with you. I think I have a business coach as well. And I've had business coaches for 10 years now, but I tell him every time I go into prep, that is generally when my business does the best, when I'm like hyper focused, because I want to stay distracted from the kitchen. You know, I can't eat, like if I'm bored, I can't snack, and I divert that boredom and that energy to just working. And it's a very dialed in period of your life. And I think it's interesting because I get a lot of people that will start prep. I don't know if you have this experience as a coach. And then when it starts to get hard, like, you know, just kind of depending on each person's a little bit different. It's like, oh, you know, it's too stressful. I have too many other things going on. And like the hunger gets to them, and then it's too much and they just want to quit. Right.
Yeah.
For me,
and
it's
that's
the
why
opposite.
it's me like, are you not hungry? You're eating 1,100 calories on a rest day. I'm like, no, because I'm busy. So like today, rest day, and it's like I have my first meal at 9. I'm like, I only have 4 more meals. I'm not thinking about my meals. All I'm thinking is, right, what do I have to do for work? And the only thing that's hard when you're working is the fatigue, obviously. Like I'm tired. I'm on 85 minutes of cardio a day. So it's like once I've done that, my body's aching. I'm at that point where everything vibrates, it hurts. I'm getting cramps when I walk, all of that. So just from all of that, it's like, right, what can I do? And my husband left work this morning yet to go and meet a client at the gym. And he said, I said, what time are you back? He's like, 12:15. I was like, okay, I'm going to get this, and this done for business by the time you get back. And then I'll get my next meal. He's like, get on it. And he knows what I'm like I need that distraction, that focus. So, and it's weird for me, like being this lean and at this kind of low weight and low body fat. By now, I'm normally stalking Instagram. I'm looking at food things. I'm planning my next cheat day for YouTube. I've not done any of that. I'm not even thinking about food. And even if like my coach was to say, you know, you can have a free meal or whatever, I'd be like, I don't even know if I want one. I'm like, oh God, I'd rather you just prescribe me a high day. Like, just tell me what to do. I'll just be a robot. It's totally different this time around.
Yeah. Interesting. I tell people all the time, like no two preps are the same, right? Like no two preps. How many shows have you done at this point?
14, I think, 15, something like that.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. So, I mean, first prep was like breeze. I lost, you know, everything came off. I was ready like 4 weeks early because I was like,
amazing.
Yeah. And then it was never the same after that.
No. And the first prep is when you start like making a list on your phone of all the foods you want to eat, you hoard stuff away. No, I don't do anything. The only thing we did, and you probably saw on my YouTube, is last week I was like, Easter's coming up and we're going to miss Easter. And here in Dubai, they don't have Easter eggs out on the shelves forever. So it's like, we just need to get a nice Easter egg for when prep's done. A nice bit of chocolate will do me fine. So that's the only thing I've bought. Like I haven't hoarded anything away. And I think like for yourself as a coach, it's one of those things you really try and teach your girls. But it's also, you have to say to them, you're going to fuck up anyway. Like it's going to happen.
For sure.
Because it's your first time. It was the first time. It's like you try and prepare them. It's a bit like a mother and a child. You know, as a mom or our parents, when we were teenagers, they tried to prepare you for all this shit that's going to happen with boys and alcohol and drugs and all the rest of it. And they try, but they know you're going to fuck up and you're going to have to come back to them and be like, help. And it's the same with our girls. I know that sounds a really weird scenario, but it is like, they say they're going to go into their off season, they're going to be super strict and I want to improve. And you're like, okay, awesome. And then 3 weeks later, I binge my diet and I'm really struggling. And I'm like, okay. And the thing is, there's no judgment from me. There's no like, you're an asshole. I'm like, I've been there. Everything you've done, I've fucking done it. Trust me. I've done it.
Yes.
Like I have that relationship with my girls where I'm very honest how they're going to feel. They also say, look, that you are going to fuck up. It's okay. I mean, you do just message me because trust me, anything you've done, I've done worse. You know, I've done this to know.
Oh, most definitely. I've had my fair share of, you know, we call them snackcidents where like I'm, you know, 3 weeks out from a show and I black out and I've eaten a whole roll of rice cakes and half a jar of peanut butter, you know, just stupid. And then, you know, the freak outs happen.
That's the thing we think is bad. We're like, I overrate my calories. Or I've had a client that said that. They said, I cheated my diet. I said, what did you do? And they were like, I had extra oats and peanut butter. I'm like, it's okay. It was just an unscheduled refeed. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it could have been a pizza and cookie dough
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I know. I had a client the other day. I run into her at the gym and she's like, Coach, I have to tell you something. I had a snack accident. I'm like, what happened? She goes, I ate extra chicken breast. I'm like, if that's the worst offense, we're doing good. We're doing good. Yeah. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, can you tell my audience like how you got into bodybuilding and how long you've been doing it and sort of your journey there?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So first things first, I'm 37. I don't even like saying that out loud. I'm like,
trust me, I
it
get
sounds
it.
really old, but I'm just like, I'm 37. Okay. Yeah. So I started bodybuilding actually quite late. So I got into training at the age of like 26, 27. And it started first with my grandmother and her sister both suffered with cancer. They both passed away. And I wanted to do like charity runs and raise money for cancer research and stuff. So it was the first kind of time I got into kind of anything competitive or anything that was quite challenging. It was like 5K and 10K runs. Prior to that, I would say as a child, I was very sporty. I was quite a tomboy. I've got 3 brothers. So it was very much, we played sports, all of that kind of stuff as kids. And I was like the girls' football team and stuff at school. But I got into that and I was training for all of my running and I wasn't really managing my nutrition. I didn't know anything about nutrition then. And I was just getting like thinner and thinner and thinner. And I remember I was doing kind of timed runs and stuff in the gym and on the treadmill and on the road and stuff. And one of the PTs came up to me in the gym and he's like, you've lost a ton of weight. Like you really should look at, actually training and building some muscle as well. And I went, oh, you mean that thing over there, like the cable and some bicep curls? And I was like, yeah, I'll do a bit of that. And he's like, let me train you. Like, you've lost a lot of weight. You could build some muscle. I'm doing this class. Come and join this class. So I started getting into like high intensity interval classes. I did spin classes. And then I actually got into a class that was pole fitness. Back in the day when people probably looked at it and was like,
yeah,
you're going to be a pole dancer?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I was like,
I knew I loved you for a reason. I owned a pole dance studio for 10 years.
Oh my God, I absolutely loved it to the point where I actually purchased a pole and had it in my house. And everyone thought I was going to be like in the nightclub and doing the dirty deed. And I was like, come
love
on.
this right now.
When I started doing that, I realized I had upper body strength. And that came, I think, from like as a child swimming and stuff. So I've got quite broad shoulders, as you know, my back's quite wide. So I started doing pole fitness. And then the lady that was teaching that was a bodybuilder. She was a natural bodybuilder. And I went to go and see she was on prep at the time. And I went to go see one of her shows. And I was like, oh, that looks so exciting. And I was like, look how glamorous that is. And I was like, these women just look phenomenal. And I was just drawn to them. And so that's when I went back to that PT and I was like, I want you to train me. And he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I just want to get really freaking strong. And I want to look a little bit like that. I don't think I'll ever step on stage, but I want to look a bit like that. So I ended up training with him for about 6 months. And then we did like a shortcut to shred, like Jim Stepani's kind of method back in the day, like in 13, 14, something like that. And he was like, we'll do this. We'll get you as lean as we can. We'll manage your nutrition and you'll do a photo shoot. And I was like, no, I'm never going to do a shoot. And he was like, just do it. And then when I did it, I looked like a deer in headlights. Like it was terrible. I didn't look at the camera. I was just all over the place.
Yeah.
But when I did that, that's when I then kind of was like, well, where could I take it? Because my ass is saggy, my back's not as lean as it could be. I don't really have abs. And I quite like the fact that my arm has a vein and I've got a bit of a shoulder. So I got into that. And then I continued training and kind of learned lots about nutrition myself, training, programming. And it was when I met my now husband, I went to an event in the UK called Body Power Expo. It's probably the biggest one in the UK, or it was back in the time. And it was like 2014, 15. And I bumped into him and we met, and that's another whole story. But when we started dating and stuff, he was a bodybuilder and he was like, do you think you'd ever do a show? And I was like, no. The following year, we ended up prepping together and we were on prep. And during prep, he proposed and I did 4 shows that year, qualified for the British. And that's where my kind of addiction for bodybuilding came. And I think it was that whole taking your body through a process that's mentally and physically challenging was the most liberating thing I'd ever done. Yeah. But more than that, it was training in the gym. Like both of our love for training and just getting strong, I think was just what brought us together. We absolutely adored it. And I, even now to this day, 10 years on, we still talk about, if we start family and things like that, I'm like, I'm never not going to train. I'm never not going to do morning cardio. I was like, the baby's just going to look hot and they'll just figure it out. I'm like, you can do that.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I love that. That's kind of how it started. And then the rest is history. I think once I did like UK shows when UK BFF was what it was back in the day. And then when we moved to Dubai, I then couldn't compete in Dubai because females can't. They don't have IFBB or NPC here. So I traveled internationally and I had to go back to the UK and qualify for an international show. So then my next goal kind of got higher. It was like, I don't want to compete in the UK. I want to do the Arnold's in Barcelona. I want to be somewhere where Arnie is. I was like, that looks sick. And I knew, competing in that kind of show was going to be a huge caliber of athletes that had been doing it for years. I was like, just to qualify and step on that stage, ticked. So I had to fly back to the UK, do the Scottish Grand Prix, qualified for the Worlds, the British, and the Arnold's. But at the time, I was still teaching as a full-time teacher. I wasn't a coach then. And so I couldn't really take time off work unless it's for one show. So my boss at the time was like, you can choose one to take unpaid lead off for. What do you want to do? And I was like, the Arnold's, Barcelona.
Yeah.
And then when I became a coach and left teaching, then it was like the world's your oyster. You can travel anywhere, do any show. And that's when the pro chasing dream began. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a lot. That's a lot of time. I think people see the end result, like where you're at now. And it's such a journey, right? And it doesn't start the same for everybody, like I tell my kids, like they're fortunate that they were like born into this hobby of mine and they all are like bodybuilders. But yeah, it's great. My daughter's competed with me twice, or, we've competed together and, she's a trainer, like all the things. And my son's competing and my oldest, they're all into it. But for us, where it's like, we started, in our, mid-20s in this entire journey. And it takes time, you don't just decide to bodybuild and then do a show 12 weeks later. I think a lot of people will decide, I'm not doing anything bodybuilding related. And they just see the outcome and they just want to do the thing. They find a coach and think it's going to happen in like 12, 16 weeks. Very rare.
It's like we started when Instagram didn't make bodybuilding cool. Like it wasn't cool then. No one knew what it was.
Right.
And I always say to any of my girls or anyone that asks me about it, I'm like, if Instagram didn't exist, would you still go to the gym and do it? Mm-hmm. Would you still do it?
That's
would you
such
still
a good question.
If it wasn't televised and if there wasn't prize money, if there wasn't, a pro card, would you still do it?
Yeah.
And if your answer wasn't yes, it's not for you. And it's why, like you said about girls thinking that, well, I can just diet for 12 weeks. I'm like, you have to have a substantial amount of muscle, particularly the majority of my girls that are bikini girls. I have some figure girls that have got more muscle and that's taken them time. And a lot of my girls are older and mature. So they've got mature muscle mass from actually training for a period of years. Mm-hmm. But when my new girls come to me, I'm like, with the amount of muscle you have, you're literally just going to be on the Stairmaster dieting and doing a lot of cardio because you don't have the muscle mass to be able to withstand a prep and actually get to that level of leanness without putting in a lot of work, and you're going to be eating very little. And it's a hard thing. And that's why on my coaching team, I have the whole prep package. And I'm like, if you're going to prep with me, it's for a whole year because we have to plan out those phases of, right, what does your improvement season look like? Yeah. Do you need that first? Do we need a pre-season? Do you have enough muscle for us to do a little mini cut first, then push you into a prep? Mm-hmm. What's the prep going to look like, the time period, how many shows we're looking at, what's the recovery phase, and then the improvement phase afterwards? Like, I would never take on a client unless they had that understanding of the bigger picture and be like, right, you need to plan the year with your life, your work, everything, because, there's going to be things that come up and ultimately your health is my priority. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a coach that'll be like, right, let's just do 12 weeks for a show and then see you later. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think it's so important that people understand that are listening, because a lot of times, they come to us, well, at least on my side, and they just, there may be like novice lifters. They just, are kind of do it randomly. Maybe they lift 2 or 3 times a week and they want to set this gigantic goal so they can be in the best shape of their life. And I'm like, even if you don't plan on taking this seriously and trying to go for a pro card, and this is just something that you want to do, one, it's a reflection of my work too, right? And we have to work together for that outcome to be something that you're proud of and I'm proud of as a coach. And I can diet you down. I can put you on 900 calories. I can put you on 2 hours of cardio a day. But at the end of the day, you're not going to enjoy what that ends up looking like if we don't do this properly. So, yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things I say to my girls is if their first time, I'm like, let's first diet for a photo shoot. Let's do that first. Let's do a mini prep, because that's not going to be the same level of leanness for stage, but you're going to get to see how much work needs to go in, how your schedule needs to be aligned to this, how you have to commit to it 100%. You can't have a gram of peanut butter over. And if you can do that for 12 or 16 weeks for a photo shoot prep, then we can feed you back up, get you into a place where your body is able to grow a bit more muscle. And also a photo shoot prep is going to get me to see, right, do you have enough muscle for the category you're looking at?
Yeah.
And if we diet you down for a photo shoot, you're going to be pleased with the end result. You're going to have something to take away from it, but then also have a new goal moving forward. And like you said, have a taste of it and be like, actually, this isn't for me. I don't want to do this. I'm like, good, don't go down that road then, because do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of girls get into it for the wrong reasons and don't really understand what it entails, and particularly for females, you know. So I think they're understanding like the effect it can have on your hormones, and that, like you said, like that recovery phase coming out of it. You know, I've worked with girls where, you know, and the majority of girls, if they get that lean, they're going to lose the period. Let's be realistic. And I have that discussion with all my girls. I have prep Zoom calls with my whole team. So I have them with my lifestyle team, but then I have a separate call with all the prep girls.
Same here.
And it's paramount that they jump on that call, because we have something we talk about every single week. And one of the things is about their menstrual cycle and understanding that. And the amount of girls that aren't even aware of it before they even diet is they don't know when their luteal phase is. They're not tracking when their period is. They don't understand their symptoms and all of that. And then it's that kind of, when you are prepping for a show and you get to that level of leanness, it, you know, it's likely it will go, but it will come back. And, you know, the conversation I have with my girls is it will come back when you regulate your food. It's not just getting fat and putting body fat on and just binging your diet afterwards, because actually what you're doing is putting your body under another level of stress. It's gone from an overly dieted phase to a heavily overindulgent phase. And trust me, that's not going to align your hormones. You've actually got to reverse carefully out of it and really make sure that you get back into good eating habits again quickly. So those things. And because I don't want my girls to have that negative perception of bodybuilding. I don't want them to not enjoy the process, or to look at it and think that was really unenjoyable, I don't like it, or it's really negative, because actually it's not. Bodybuilding is one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life.
Yeah, it's taught me, like we talked about earlier, you know, incredible levels of discipline. When you set a goal, like knowing that you have to check off all these things, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You cannot hide once you get on stage. You can't. I mean, you're in a, you know, string bikini, being judged by strangers, and you can't hide your slip ups at all. So you have to go all in on the process.
And they don't care what your situation is. They don't care what your family circumstances are, how busy you were at work, how hard cardio was. Doesn't matter. Everyone's working just as hard as you. All they care about is what it looks like, the end result. And that is something you have control over. But that's where the power is. Because it's like when you get on stage, you go up there and you smile and you present. And if you've been 100% on point with your diet and everything the whole way through, you have nothing else to do but smile, because you know what you've put on stage is you. Like no one else has done that. People have cheered you on along the way, but you've stepped on that Stairmaster, you've dripped all of that sweat, you've pushed yourself in the gym, you've measured out every freaking gram. And it's like, oh, like that for me is the most powerful thing, is knowing that you did that for you. You were in control. It must be, we must be just control freaks.
We are 100% control freaks. When things don't go my way, I'm like, what's happening here? I have control. And that's another thing I talk about often on the podcast is I tell people frequently, like, there's so many other external circumstances in my life that I have zero control over. I have zero control over what anybody thinks, does, the weather, you know,
politics, news.
So many things. And when women are like, oh, you know, prep stresses me out, it's one more thing. And for me, I'm the opposite. It's like, if I'm in prep, I know that I can control this one thing. It's like pushing, you know, different levers, change different things, more cardio, less food, rest, you know, deload, all the things. And I know the outcome because I've done it so many times that there's like a sense of calm with that. It's like, it's just familiarity, and it feels.
But the only thing that disrupts that is when something comes in and messes up your routine. Or like the other week, I had a friend, she's pregnant, bless her. She's due in like 5 weeks, and I haven't seen her in ages. And she's like, let's meet for coffee. And I felt terrible because last week I had to cancel her because I was so wrecked. Literally so exhausted. So I met her yesterday and I had to apologize. But it's things like that where I'm like, I have to go and meet her at this time, but this is the time I have to have my meal, or this is when I have to do. That's when it gets a little bit, when people don't get it, that aren't in this world. Whereas, you know, your gym crew, they get it. Your loved ones understand. I think that's the hard bit, is because you are in so much control of what you're doing. When those other circumstances come in, it's hard. Like the other weekend, we went to go and see The Script. It was like a concert we had. They didn't come on stage until 10:30 at night. I'm like, I'm in bed by 9. What is this? Like, what?
Yeah.
And it just threw me off whack. I was floored the next day because I didn't get enough sleep.
Definitely.
So it's things like that, I suppose, are difficult when you're in a prep.
Yeah.
But the amount that you can control, and the fact that, you know, the end result is determined by how much effort you put in, I think is the most rewarding and powerful thing.
For sure. I often reference like comparison to, you're like a newborn baby, you know, like you need to eat every few hours or you're going to be mad. And, you know, it has to be very structured. You know, you want to go to sleep, the bed at the same time. You want to try to get up at the same time. You know, it's very much reverting to a regimented schedule. And I mean, my saving grace a lot of times is setting alarms on my phone, because I will, you know, I'll start working, I'll be super caffeinated, and I don't want to go too far past mealtime. And so it's like timers, alarms. I like lived by alarms in prep.
Yeah. And I say that to my clients now, even my lifestyle clients. I'm like, when they tell me I've got to eat 6 meals a day, or I was at work and I missed this, and I'm like, put alarms on your phone. Literally just put alarm. So you find, like, no one cares. It just bleeps and just reminds you to eat that snack that's in your bag.
And you hit snooze until you do it.
Yeah. And when you're trying to teach your lifestyle clients to be like, you have to eat regularly throughout the day. Like, it's important. It's a human function. So yeah, I think alarms are a great thing for that.
Yeah. Would you agree that coming out of a show, so like off season, is more challenging than being in prep?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I think when you're on prep, you're chasing that level of leanness. You're waiting for the scale to go down. You're looking for new lines in your legs. You're working towards that goal. When you're in improvement season, the only thing you're working towards is your logbook. Yeah. And you're trying really hard not to look in the mirror, because you've just been in a heavily dieted phase. You've looked your best you've ever looked. Well, you've looked your best, but you felt your worst. I don't think people tell people. They don't understand that when you look your best, you actually feel like a bag of shit.
Totally.
And you don't go out and you want to put baggy t-shirts on, and it's like the other day when I had to go to the mall to meet my friend, I had to put a baggy t-shirt on and some joggers because it's Ramadan here. I'm like, I can't be getting these delts out. People are going to freak out at the coffee shop. No,
totally.
So yeah, I think the improvement season is hard, but it gets better the more you do it. And I tell my girls this when they're entering those phases. I'm like, look, I get it. Like, you've just gone from being super lean and thinking, oh my God, I've got abs that look amazing, and now you've got the body fat on. But the reality is, if you want to continue in this sport and succeed, you have to put on body fat to grow muscle. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you have to regulate your hormones. You have to get your body functioning again. It's just been in a highly stressed state that's not sustainable long term. So I think it's a case of the more you do it, the more you become happy in your skin in both phases, you know. And I think you just have to be realistic. If you do have a certain perception of your body, or you don't like a certain look, just be like, right, I have this set of wardrobe is for when I'm on prep.
Yes.
And this set is when I'm in my improvement season. So yeah, I won't be walking around the gym in crop tops and things like that. Although I tend to, I don't really care.
No, you do. And you look great.
Yeah. But I think if I say to my other girls, like, if you feel uncomfortable, then just forget it. What are you in there to do? Get your logbook out. You're there to smash those lifts. You're there to get those deadlifts up. You're there to squat, you know? So don't look at yourself like that. And then tailor your other wardrobe to those more curvaceous things. It's like, just be grateful now. You've got your boobs back. You've got your ass back. It's freaking awesome. I bet you loves it, you know? So I think it's a tough one. It's one that you definitely have to support your girls with, both kind of in a mental way of accepting your body, but also that relationship with food. That's always going to be the biggest challenge for people.
Yeah.
But again, that gets better. Like, I think my last improvement was the best I'd ever had, because like you said, no prep is the same, but no improvement season is the same. And you just get better, more experience.
Yeah.
You start to remind yourself that food's always going to be there. And the more variety you can allow yourself in your improvement season diet, the easier it's going to be. So whether that be every single day, the meals are different food sources that you look forward to. So like, I've been eating turkey and avocado wraps since I finished prep. in 2021, but I just bloody love that meal. I have my Greek yogurt junk bowl at night. Love that meal. I love my eggs and my cream of rice every morning. That ain't going to change. I'll eat that till I die. But there's some people that need more variety. So whether that's variety in the day or having one day where you just macro track, sick, awesome. Or if it's you have 2 free meals a week and they're sensible meals and you know how to do that.
You're talking off season?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's training your girls to know what it is they need.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have already come to you with a previous history where they've got a poor relationship with food, putting them through a prep is not the right thing to be doing.
Yes.
Because it's almost like you need to make sure that they're in a comfortable and safe place to be able to handle that level of dieting,
right.
To not only not cheat their diet when they're on prep, but also not to come out of it and then actually create a different kind of eating disorder altogether.
Yeah.
So I'm very much, I interview my girls for prep and we have like a psychological kind of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Just to see where their head is at and be like, come to me and say, oh, I previously used to binge eat. I'm like, okay, so let's talk about that. Tell me when was the last time you did that? And, you know, so I think that's important as a coach.
Do you feel like you had struggles with your relationship with food when you started competing? Did that like flare up anything, 100%. Binge episodes, like anything that you're comfortable with sharing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think my first ever prep, I was coached by somebody else. It was a long time ago. My husband and I both had the same coach and I was dieted pretty hard, like you would be. I didn't have enough muscle. So to get lean, and reality is I didn't do what you did. I didn't go to bikini first. I went straight into figure and it was like, I did not have enough muscle for that.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was body fitness in the UK. So to get shredded, great. I'd put in the work. I'd do all the Stairmaster. I'd eat nothing. That's fine. But what that did with my relationship with food meant that as soon as those shows finished, I was like, I need to eat everything. Like I had missed out on so much for a long time. And it triggered a lot of things. But weirdly, my previous relationship with food wasn't to eat if I was unhappy. It was the opposite. You know, as a teenager, when I was very unhappy or I was bullied at school, I stopped eating. So I actually probably I wouldn't say I had an eating disorder, but there were periods of my teenage years where I was very, very slim and didn't eat because I was unhappy. And I think that is still something in me where it's if I'm unhappy, I won't eat. Whereas if I'm happy, I eat. You've seen my YouTube. I love my food.
Yes.
So when I'm in a good place, I'm like, give me the food, give me the 20K challenge. I will do it. I think competing wise, I think it probably triggered kind of binge eating episodes for sure, just for the sheer like, I haven't eaten this, I need to eat it all now.
Yeah.
But like I said, I trained myself over the years. I've done it 10 years now, where I know food's always going to be there. And we have the convenience of food. So I don't hoard stuff. I don't eat past the point of satiety when I've, come off the show. I don't plan to go and eat certain meals, be like, I want to eat at this restaurant, I want to eat here. I just be like, when the show is done, let's see how I feel. And I make a decision on the day. I don't pre-plan things like that because I don't want to get into that habit of like, I've ordered these cookies to take with me and I'm packing my Easter egg and nah, I'm not doing that. Like, let me just see how I feel. And like I say to my girls, I'm like, the food's always going to be there. And when you're in your improvement season, you've got flexibility. So you don't need to have it all in one sitting. You'd be like, okay, so post-show, this is what I fancy. I want some sushi. Awesome. Right. Next week, I'll have a pizza with my husband. Or the week after that, we'll go out for a date night. You don't need to get it all in at once. It's like the world's not going to end and the food's always there. We have the convenience. You can order anything off delivery whenever you want. It doesn't all have to be one night. So I've taught myself that over the years, and it's something I try and educate my girls on. But I think the first time you do it, like I said to you earlier, you're going to fuck up. It's going to happen. Because your growth's high, and it's high for a long time. It takes a long time for that to come down.
You're ghrelin.
So yes.
Yeah, for sure. That's the hunger, one of the hunger hormones that it's like a gremlin. We call it the gremlin. It comes
Literally.
up. Yeah. But I think you made an excellent point earlier where you said, they call me their prep mommy, right? Like they also call me Mama D. And that's because I have done exactly what you have. And we've been through these experiences. And one of the things I often say is do not buy the cookies to keep in your freezer and just plan all this food like in peak week that you buy all these things. So when you get home, you can eat all the things because you will regret that, right? Your body is primed to store fat after a prep, 1,000%. And I also tell them a huge mistake is to not plan a 7-day inclusive vacation the minute your heel hits off.
Holiday.
Yes.
I tell them that. Do not plan. I want to go on an all-inclusive to, the Bahamas. I'm like, no. Can you wait a month? No.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah. It's probably one of the worst possible things you can do post-show. I know you want to celebrate. I know you want to be on the beach looking your leanest ever, but for your hormones, your body fat, your sanity, your mind, like your mindset and all of that. And not to mention it's dangerous. Some of these girls super depleted to go on to a 7-day vacation and they come back or, 5-day, whatever. And they tell me like for the first 3 days, my ankles were swollen. I couldn't get my ring off. I was bloated.
And it was alcohol consumption as well.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know about you, but I don't drink. I haven't drunk for 10 years. I don't drink alcohol anyway. But I think they forget that the impact alcohol has on their body as well.
For sure.
And especially in places.
Yeah. And so it's, again, we tell them, but they still do it. We're here to pick up the pieces, but
100%.
I just, urge people who are in prep to have caution with booking vacations. 4 weeks is great. I tell my girls 4 to 8 weeks post show, you'll still look phenomenal. You'll still look great on the beach. You just got to give yourself that recovery period to not feel so ravenous and have FOMO, right? Like, oh, I haven't had this. And then you're just like a lion out of a cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have their post-show plan ready to go. So I do that with all my girls. So like it's normally about 10 days before their show. We have a call, obviously. And I'm in contact with them daily, obviously, because they're checking in daily before their show and stuff.
Yeah.
But about 10 days before they compete, it's like, right, so tell me, what foods have you been fancying? What do you miss off your plan? Let me get your post-show. So I actually then get them to do a food shop for what they're going to have when they start their reverse. So they have their show and I say, right, after your show, go and eat what you fancy eating, be sensible. Don't eat to the point where you feel sick and you're going to throw up. Go for a nice meal with your husband or whatever it is. Have that cookie your friends bought you, but don't have the whole box of them. And then I say, you've got your plan ready to go for the next day. And then start that plan immediately the next day. Trust me, I'm bumping your calories right up. Your ghrelin's going to be really high still, but you need to do that first. And then 3 days later, plan your next event. If it's meeting your girls for coffee and a muffin because you haven't seen your girlfriends the whole of prep because you were a hermit, that's fine. Following week, it's going out for a dinner with your mum and dad. Great. But just don't plan to just have the whole week off. Like get straight back onto your new plan. And if I can tailor their plan to things that they really enjoy, like having granola back in and cereal and the Nutella's back in or whatever, I'm like, great. Then I think it helps to have that post-show plan in place already for them.
For sure. Do you usually do meal plans like for the entire time you work with your clients? Like no macro.
There's very few that will do macro tracking, and it's only those that are coaches themselves that I trust that they'll do it. Yeah. So like I've got in Ireland at the minute, she's doing a bit of a mini cut. I've given her a meal plan, but I said, look, basically your protein, your fats and your carbs are this. Prepare your own meal plan for it. But if you limit the variables, you'll be able to cut down on this, no problem. So there's a couple that I trust to do it, but majority of my girls are lifestyle. And then obviously my prep girls, meal plan. But the meal plans have all the kind of calories and everything on there. So they know where they're at. Yeah. Some of the girls will say to me, take calories off. I don't want to know what I'm eating and how little I'm on. That's fine. No problem.
I could see how that would be a little mind trickery for sure. Yeah. But I think some people, and I've encountered this too with just clients in general, they want to have a ton of variety, I'm going to eat the same thing for 30 weeks. And I'm like, no, like there's like macro swap out options, right? The proteins, you have some choices there, but you're not going to have like spaghetti and meatballs one day and, steak and lobster another day and all this variety. And what I try to tell them is when you're in prep, you're like a walking science project and I am the scientist. Right. And I'm changing all these variables, whether that's sodium and carbs and, manipulating amounts. And if there's extreme fluctuations when you check in and the scale's all over the place, this could be a multitude of factors, right? Food volume, sodium content, fat content.
It's like the reel I did on Instagram last week, whatever. It was like, be meticulous. Like you have to hone in on the specific details of how you cook your food, what seasoning you're using. Like you said, I get my girls, I'm like, you weigh out your pink salt in the morning and it gets spread across your meals. This is how many liters of water you should be drinking across the day. Get it in. If you've got to drink 0 cal BCAAs to get it in, get it in. That's what I do. But I agree with you. I think it's training them to be like, look, when you're a lifestyle client or you're in improvement season, yeah, you can do those kind of swap outs and it's okay. But when you're on a prep, like you need everything to be meticulous.
Yeah.
And still prepare those meals lovingly. Like my 5th meal of the day is literally like turkey mince or chicken and avocado and some veg. But what do? I have a chicken burger. I have 5 romaine lettuce leaves. I have 50 grams of avocado, 1 pickle I chop up, some low-cal sauce that I measure, and I mash it all up and I make lettuce wraps. Yeah. And I pretend that burger is a freaking burger and it tastes amazing. Right. And I look forward to that every day. So I say to my girls, look, your macros are what they are, but you get to design what that meal looks like and just make it the same every single day. And it limits variables. The fewer variables we have, the more progress you'll make, the fewer adjustments. If your weight's fluctuating all over the place, I'm going to be hammering you with cardio and dropping your calories because I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Pretty much.
Whereas everything is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Then I can be, and I had a client, I think it was last year, and she went, all you did was take out 10 grams of dark chocolate. How have I dropped weight on 10? I said, it's the accumulation of your entire prep.
Yeah.
I said, you've been meticulous. I've taken out 10 grams of dark chocolate. I added 5 minutes of cardio and you've dropped a kg. And she's like, is that just from 10 grams of chocolate? I was like, well, no, it's the accumulation of your consistency over however many weeks. Yeah. But yes, small variables make very small tweaks. Like my own prep, I've been on prep for I'm on the 9th week of prep. Only had 2 diet changes, you know, and my cardio has gone from 60 minutes. I started off with 60 minutes. I was like, give me it, like push me hard.
Yeah.
And up to 85, but only 2 diet changes in 9 weeks. Like
that's great.
He hasn't had to manipulate my food because he's like, we're dropping on this and it's working. So why change it?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something that as a first timer, they don't necessarily always get the finer details. You have to lay it out for them and be really, especially if they just come from being a lifestyle client. And like you said, they're quite novice at this whole bodybuilding world. They don't realize, oh, but that sauce has salt in it. That's going to affect my sodium. Well, you got to really think about these small kind of different details, you know?
For sure. I think it's funny when I'm in prep and people are like, oh, post a full day of eating. I'm like, you're literally going to see the same thing every day.
It's like me on my YouTube blog. I don't show my meals. I only show the high days. I'm like, and even I said to my husband, I was like, when I have my next high day, I'm going to have to do something different. I can't keep doing the same thing. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do turkey burgers. I'm going to do chicken mince burritos, and I'm going to use the protein cheese as part of my protein. I'm going to make it fun to show the girls it's something different.
Yeah.
Literally, otherwise it would just be the same shit every day.
Pretty much.
That's what I eat.
Yeah.
But when you're in prep and you're a bodybuilder, you're a robot. You're not thinking about food for the satiating enjoyment that it normally is. Okay, I gave that example of I look forward to that meal. Well, yeah, I want it to taste amazing, even though my stomach's still empty. But you're literally eating for a purpose. You're a machine fueling your body. And like we said earlier, if you are hungry, just distract yourself with other things. Keep busy. Yeah. You know, there'll be a time when you can have that flexibility again. But when you're on prep, you're a robot.
Yeah, you're definitely a robot. I think what most women aren't prepared for is being hungry, right? Like when you're a normie, when you're not a bodybuilder in prep and you're hungry, you just eat. And
you just grab a fruit.
You're like, oh yeah. You just kind of listen intuitively to your body's signals. Like, oh, I haven't eaten for 4 hours. I've been doing whatever. And you just, mow down a, burrito or whatever. And you eat until you're full. Sometimes when you're over full, right? You just keep eating because you want to finish your meal because it's what the restaurant served you. And when you're in a diet phase or when you're in prep, you're going to be hungry. Like at some point if you want to get lean into a spot where your body is not wanting to be there, you're going to have to push past your body's natural set point, right? And that is going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. And they're like, I'm really hungry. I'm really hungry. And what I tell my clients is like, when you're hungry, it's working.
That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Yep. I say if you're going to bed and you're hungry, you're gonna have a low weigh-in. So just embrace it.
For sure.
Down a load of water. Pee in the middle of the night. It's all good.
Yeah.
Like you know when you're gonna have a low drop. Like I'd say to my husband, I'm sitting there at night and I'm like, I've already had my 10 liters of water. I've had that meal. I'm hungry. And he's like, you're gonna have a low weigh-in tomorrow. I was like, yeah, I know, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel it when your body's dropping.
Yeah. It's a weird sensation.
It's a weird thing. And I think the more you just get used to it, because people have asked me, are you hungry on this prep? And there are moments when I feel hungry, but I I don't know. I just learned to switch it off.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think about it.
Yeah.
Because there's no point dwelling on it. I can't change the fact. Like nothing's going to happen. If I sit down and go, I'm really hungry, a burger's not going to sit and like appear in front of me and I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
You can't, even
I'm
if
just
you did.
have to wait and just keep pushing through. And that's when I think it's important that you have a coach that is on it with you. Like my coach is on it. And I'm checking in with him twice a week. But even now I checked in today and he's like, right, updates again tomorrow. You've had a big drop. We're going to make a plan for the weekend. So I'm like, oh, come on, Heidi. So it's like, you need to have somebody that's on it. And I'm assuming you're the same with your girls. Yeah. Like when they start, it's like once a week or twice a week check-ins. And then it becomes like every other day. And it's just, and for me with my girls, particularly because some of them are first timers, the kind of every other day check-ins and the more regular check-ins aren't simply because I expect their body to be changing every day, but it's so they have a checkpoint with me. So I can just check in on them and just say, keep going. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Going.
I love that.
Because you don't know in their life who's supporting them. You don't know how they're feeling. If they know they've got to wake up, send photos and check in with you every day, it's an opportunity for you to just go, hey, how are you doing? I'm here for you. Well done. What have you got today? Legs. Go smash that pendulum. You know, you could, you're an extra person to just be on their shoulder, being like, I'm cheering you on. Come on. You know?
Yeah, I love that. I have a client right now. She's competing this weekend. She's across the US. So I've met her once. She's flown out to just kind of visit. Her husband is a pilot. So she has that, you know, that kind of perk of flying whenever she wants. And so, we've worked together for a year. She's lost about 55, 60 pounds and she's doing her first show. And I was just had this like, you know, you just have those proud coaching moments when you're like, honestly, people just need someone who's going to believe in them. And like, clearly we have the tools, right? Like we have the tools, we know how to do the things. We know the blueprint to get you there, but you need somebody to hold you accountable who believes in you that you can do the damn thing. And that is so powerful. And I think people underestimate the power of having a coach, not just because your coach knows the meal plan and knows how much cardio to give you, but they are going to tell you like, you can do this. I've done this. There's no reason why you don't deserve this and you can do this. It's so powerful.
And I think, and I don't mean to be like biased here, but it's okay because this is like, this is the whole thing of the podcast, right? But I think females do it better than guys. Like, as much as I'm coached by men, I need the hard talk. I need the guy to tell me, just shut the fuck up, Bex, and go and do it.
That's how
get it done. Crack on.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, if I'm driving to the gym with hubby because we carpool and I'm driving and he's quiet, he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just thinking about pendulum. I'm just thinking about the leg press. He's like, I'm going to smash it. Go and get that session.
Yeah.
He'll give me sympathy. He'll be like, just go and get it done. Whereas for us as females, I feel like, you know, we need to cheer our girls on. And I don't think guys do that. You know, I still look at my WhatsApp when I send my check-in to my coach. And if he goes, oh my gosh, huge changes here, and he's put huge in capital letters, I'm like,
that means something.
Thinks I look good. I'm like, pathetic. Whereas I think for our girls, like you said, they need that self-belief. They need someone to say, yes, you can freaking do it. I'm here for you. Come on. But equally, I pull their socks up too. And I say, crack on. Or if they have cheated their diet, I'm like, move past it, move on. We're not wallowing in that shit anymore. Right. Get on the Stairmaster, crack with your normal cardio, get back to your meal plan. Let's go. And I had a client who was at the back end of prep last year. And she messaged me saying, oh, I couldn't even get out of bed this morning to go to work. I haven't done my cardio yet. I just messaged her and said, get the fuck up. Go and get it done.
I love that.
You've got 3. I was like, come on. And she was like, I need to hear that. I was like, good. I was like, I know when to give you like the tough love, but I know when someone's really struggling. And I think for me, it's like when I can sense that in a client, I'm like, let's just jump on a call. You know, like my prep girls, they have unlimited calls with me like this on Zoom. So I'm just like, if you just need a call, just call me and just tell me how you're feeling, what's going on. And also because a lot of our girls, you know, they have real lives, jobs, kids.
Outside of this.
I'm fortunate that I'm an online coach and I can run my own life the way it is now. But I started competing when I was a teacher full time. I know what it's like to get up at 4 a.m., do your cardio, go and work a full day in the classroom teaching kids, have parents' evening, then have to go to the gym, train, do cardio, get home at 9 o'clock, meal prep, do it all again the next day. I get it. I get it.
It's exhausting. Yeah. It sounds like we have very similar coaching styles. I have always been coached by men up until recently because I'm no longer competing. So I'm doing more, you know, just kind of like personal little goals, nothing that's like, I want to get shredded for stage. It might come back, but right now I'm enjoying.
going to share them? What are these goals? I want to know now.
Well, I have like an event in June that is in Vegas, and I'm going to be scantily clad most of the time. I just want to look leaner than the average person, but I don't want to look stage lean. You know that spot, right?
Like, a bit like the mini cut I did for Vegas. Like Darren was doing the Olympia with my husband.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I want to go to the Olympia fat and I kind of want to do a mini cut and I might compete next year. So if I do a mini cut now, I won't be dying when I'm in Vegas. Yes. I can do a shoot. Look,
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing more lifestyle stuff, but for all of my preps in working with coaches for shows have always been men, because much like yourself, I need somebody to be like, quit being a little bitch, go train. Yeah. Nobody fucking cares. I don't care. Get in there. They don't want to listen to my, like, I'm on my period. I want to, I ate, something bad or whatever. They don't care, but I feel like because I've had that experience and also being a female and like knowing, just having the empathy with understanding that I've also done a lot of these things, I can deliver the best of both experiences as a coach, depending on the client. I have some clients that are very much like, just be mean to me, please. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Have you ever had to have a conversation with a client and just tell them like, you're not ready?
Yes.
Okay. How's that go for you?
It's difficult, but I think it has to be something that happens from the offset. So when I onboard clients, we have an onboarding call and we talk about their long-term goals, and I set the expectations. So if someone comes to me and says, I want to do a lifestyle program with you, but down the line, I think I might like to do a prep or whatever, then we map it out, but then we have those kind of intersections where we get back in touch again and we talk about it in more detail. And if I have a client that wants to go through a prep, but I've never seen their training. They're not sending me training form analysis. They can't follow their meal plan for a longer period of time. Even as a lifestyle client, they miss their check-ins, all of that. I'm like, you're not ready to be on the prep team and go see through a prep when this is going on. Or if it's been a life circumstance where they've said, I really want to do it. And I'm like, you just told me this has happened and your mum's got cancer and this is going on with your son. I'm like, no, this is not the right time in your life to be doing this right now. Like you need to focus on this. So it's those two things. It's level of commitment and kind of their want and their why they're doing it, and knowing that they're not really in a place to actually see this through. And then the opposite, where they fully are, like they're hard as fuck, could go and do it. But I'm like, you need to take a step back. There's this going on and this is more important right now. Yeah. So that are very hard conversations to have. Yeah. And sometimes it ends in tears on both parts. Like it's hard because I build a relationship with my girls. And then there's been the other times when obviously girls have pulled out for obvious reasons. You probably had that too, where they've started a prep and then something's happened and it's like, right, we have to stop or we have to push the prep back. That's difficult to manage. But I think it's important that you, as long as you have a good relationship with each of those women and you know what's going on in their life. Like I know my girls and their husbands' names, their kids, I know what they do for a job. They're not just a number on my client list. It's like, I know those girls. So, and they're in contact with me every day via WhatsApp. So I think it's important. You've got a relationship like that. Then when that kind of decision comes, or when you have to have that call and say, look, they're not so surprised. They're like, actually, I respect that and I appreciate that. Yeah. They'd rather you were honest with them.
It's best as a coach to be able to have these conversations very openly, honestly, and just in the best interest of your clients, right? Like I always tell my clients, if I feel like we're at a spot where I don't think we're going to make the level of leanness that we need for you to be successful with how you're going to feel, right? Because nobody wants to come in last. And I have clients that are like, I don't care about the placing. This is a bucket list goal. I've lost 100 pounds and I just want to do this thing. I 1,000% support that too. I'll take you there.
It also depends on the federation. Like I wouldn't then put them in MPC. I'd be like, right, okay, there's other federations. There's the Summer Shredding Classic. There's other ones that are tailored towards a transformation. So I think that as a coach is really important. Is understanding the client's journey, understanding what you perceive they're going to look like, depending on their starting point, the degree of muscle mass they actually have, and you predicting how many pounds they've got to drop. You have to, as a coach, be able to see that. That's needs analysis. That's looking at that physique, that client, that journey, and being like, realistically, it's going to take this long. You're going to need to drop this much. That category is not suitable. You don't have enough muscle. let's look at these different federations. This might be more suitable for you. And I think as a coach, you have to have that repertoire of skills to be able to assess that.
Yeah.
Also know where that client's coming from mentally, from standpoint. And I think, like you said, having that conversation, saying, look, these are what we've got in mind. And so when I have my prep calls for my girls, January every year, we have a specific call where they have like 30 minutes to an hour with me each, they book in, and we plan the whole year. And I say, out the shows, but don't book anything. I tell them not to book a thing.
Yes.
I said, you don't book until, and they're like, oh, this show is selling out, we have to pay up for it. And it's like, no, don't worry, you'll still be able to register. They always say that.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that. You can walk in and register, it's fine. Like they're not going to close the books. I say, don't go and book that show until I tell you you're ready. And normally that's about, I would say, the 4 week out mark. You can kind of tell if they're moving and they're going to be lean enough.
That's exactly me too. I'm like 4 weeks, because not only that, excuse me, not only
I
that,
haven't even booked my trip to Sweden yet. Like I'm 3.5 weeks out. I need to do it this weekend. I said to Darren, you should really book our Airbnb.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the go ahead from my coach, but he's like, no, we could peak you now, Bex. I'm like, oh shit, maybe I'll book my flights. Okay.
Yeah, definitely get that done because we're waiting. But I tell them too, life is lifey. Like something could happen, somebody could die, unfortunately, you could lose your job, and if you can save yourself some money, honestly, that's one piece of it, but just not have to worry about dealing with that until you're closer and we know that all systems are a go. It's just better.
And don't put that pressure on yourself too.
Yeah.
Because like if they're not ready, I've been in that position, you probably have too, where I did the show in India and I was not ready, and we booked everything. I wasn't ready. And there were all alarm bells ringing like I shouldn't have done the show. To the point where we went to the airport, didn't realize we needed a visa for India. So we had to then change off that. And I was like, everything in the universe was telling me I shouldn't be doing the show, but anyway, I did it anyway. But at that time, we were pushing for condition and I wasn't ready. I would say it was about 6 pounds I had left to go, but it was too late.
Yeah.
I did the show. It still came second, but it was a poor standard. But yeah, I think it's important that you don't ever want a client to be in that position where it's like, actually, you're going to, it's really hard now because you booked this show. I'd be like, don't book anything. There's no need to until we know you're ready. And like you said at the very start, I want you to feel your best. I don't want you to go up there thinking that girl backstage looks better than me or leaner than me. I want you to look at yourself and be like, this is the best version of me I've ever seen. And that's most important.
Yeah, I agree. How many clients do you have total?
At the moment, we are at, I want to say like 56, 57.
Yeah. And
it's kind of half and half with prep and lifestyle. It used to be majority lifestyle clients. And then now it's more shifted to half and half. And weirdly, a lot of my prep girls are in that 35 plus bracket. And it must be like attracts like, because I'm of a certain age. I think it's the older women are either more committed in terms of they're at a point in their life where it's like their careers are solid, they've got a good routine, their kids are grown up, they're like, I want to do this for me now. Awesome. They're probably more financially stable, so they can actually opt for the whole package. I don't have those young girls that come to me and go, I can't afford coaching with you. I'm like, well, then I'm not the coach.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I would say is that they look at me and they find me relatable and they trust me because they're like, well, she's older, she's been through it, she's done it 10 years. I'm not going to like a young coach from the UK or whatever. Like a lot of my girls from the UK, America, Europe. Got some in New Zealand, Australia, one in China. I'm trying to think, but I've had them all over the world.
That's so fun. I love that. So what else does Bex do? So tell us a little bit more, where I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got to get to bed, girlfriend. Do you have any meals left?
Oh my God, I do have one meal left. It's my junk bar. I put it in the freezer. It's going to be rock solid.
Amazing. Because for those that are listening, you're in Dubai. So what time is it there for you now?
2 minutes to 8. Yeah,
okay.
8 p.m.
Yes. So this has been wonderful. Thank you. And I would love to share all the things. So let us know how people can get in touch with you and the kind of the programs that you offer and all the good stuff.
Okay. So I guess the easiest way is Instagram, fitness_Bex, BEX. And that's just been my Instagram handle from, oh my goodness, such a long time. My name is actually Bex Farrell, but you won't find me on Instagram that way. So
I was trying to find a little bit of a bio for you so I could do the intro. So
so on Instagram, you'll see that there, but also I've got my other Instagram pages, which is my fitness coaching page and my business mentoring page. So I started my own business myself for fitness coaching. A few years back when COVID hit in 2020, I started business mentoring clients as well. So I have that. So there's two avenues to my business, fitness coaching and business coaching. I also have a podcast, Walk with Bex, which is very much a mindset kind of podcast. I talk about all sorts of things. I give life updates and stuff like that. I do have a YouTube channel, which is doing pretty well. It's growing. And my YouTube channel is fitness_Bex as well. So you'll find me there. Currently, I'm prepping and blogging every single week. And yeah, I also have a Facebook group, which is like a book club. I love to read.
Yeah, I see that. I love that. And your website is?
fitnessbexcoaching.com.
Okay, amazing. Well, I'll link all of that up in the show notes. And your show is on what day and where?
The 23rd of April in Sweden.
Yes. What's the name of the show?
I got to put it now. I'm going to have to book it.
You have to book it. And this must be, I know it's a little bit different from where you're at as far as qualifying for a pro card, but is this a warm-up show for a pro card show?
No, it's a pro-qualifier.
Pro qualifier.
Yeah, it's a big like showdown weekend where they've got a regional on the Saturday, and on the Sunday it's the open pro qualifier.
Okay.
So it's winners of the classes get pro cards, but yeah, we'll see.
All right, we'll be rooting for you.
I'm not second again. We'll see.
Yeah.
But either way, I've enjoyed this prep. I've really enjoyed this whole process. Loved working with my new coach, and yeah, I'm just here to just show up my best version of myself, and we'll see. But yeah, business doesn't stop. My girls are always going to come first as well.
I love that. Well, I admire you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was super fun. You know, we may have to do this again after your show so you could give us a recap and we can come up maybe with a different topic if you're up to, because I'm sure my audience is going to love this. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Boss Bitch Radio. It would mean the world to me if you could rate and review the podcast. If you could give us a 5-star review on iTunes, drop us a little comment. We will read those, and we offer prizes as a ethical bribe for you to leave us some great mojo and words of affirmation. You know, that is my love language. And also, if you're over on Spotify, you can rate and review it there as well. All of this helps other women, other people, other folks see us, hear us, and learn from all of the amazing boss bitch tools and hacks, and hopefully get some LOLs. And if not, if anything, if you could share this with one person, I'd love you forever. And I know you are just here for my undying love. And last but not least, please, 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 please come find me over on Instagram so we can be buddies. We can be Insta fam over there. I am Diane Flores _IFBB_pro. Come say hi, drop me a DM, let me know what you think of the podcast. I'm always open for new suggestions and feedback as well. And I hope you listen again soon.